Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about the ABO blood group system. Before we start analyzing the table, here are some basics that you should know about the blood group. You should know the types of blood group that are there. That's blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB, and blood group O. So a person with blood group A has A antigen on the red blood cells and B antibodies in the plasma. And a person of blood group B has B antigen on the red blood cells and A antibody on the plasma. A person with AB blood group has A and B antigen on the red blood cells and no antibodies in the plasma. A person of blood group O has no antigen on the red blood cells and AB antibodies in the plasma. So for blood transfusion to happen, a recipient will receive blood from a donor if the recipient has no corresponding antibodies to the donor's antigen. So with with us looking at those basics, now we can have a very easy time analyzing the table. Here we find that a donor, the horizontal column stands for the donor and the vertical column stands for the recipient. So we find that a donor with blood group A donor with blood group A can transfuse blood to a recipient with blood group A. Reason as to why I'm saying this is because a recipient with blood group A has B antibodies in the plasma, and the donor with blood group A has A antigen on the red blood cells. Here we find that the antibody and the antigen, they are not corresponding. Hence, blood transfusion will be successful and there will be no coagulation. And if we take a person with blood group A, as in a donor with blood group B cannot transfuse blood to a recipient with blood group A. Reason as to why I'm saying this is because the recipient with blood group A has B antibodies and the donor with blood group B has B antigen on the red blood cells. So we see that the antibodies and the antigen are corresponding, hence there will be no blood transfusion. So if we take a recipient with blood group A and a donor with blood group AB, here again no blood transfusion will take place. Reason as to why I'm saying that, here we find that a donor with blood group AB has B antigen and the recipient of blood group A has B antibodies. The antigen B in the AB and the antibody B in A, they are corresponding. Hence there will be no successful blood transfusion. And a recipient with blood group A and a donor with blood group O, the transfusion will be successful. This is because a donor with blood group O does not have antigen. So there will be no antigen that will correspond to the B antibody, and that means transfusion will be successful. Now let's go to a recipient with blood group B. A recipient with blood group B cannot receive blood from a donor with blood group A. Reason as to why I'm saying this is because we find that the recipient with blood group B has A antibodies that corresponds to the antigen of the donor with blood group A, that leads to, if the transfusion happens, that leads to clot agglutination, and this might lead to death. So that means the blood transfusion cannot happen. Then let's take a recipient with blood group B and a donor with blood group B. Here we find that the donor with blood group B has B antigen, and the recipient with blood group B has A antibody. We find that the A antibody and the B antigen, they do not correspond. Hence, there will be a successful transfusion. Okay, now let's take a donor with blood group AB and a recipient with blood group B. Here we find again that the transfusion will not be successful. Why am I saying that? We find that the donor has the donor with AB blood group has the B antigen that corresponds has the A antigen that corresponds to the A antibody in the recipient with blood group B. So there will be no transfusion. So let's take a recipient with blood group B and a donor with blood group O. Here we find that it will be successful. The transfusion will be successful. Here we find that the antigen, the donor with blood group O does not have antigen, and the recipient with blood group B has antigen A. So there we find that the antibody A will not correspond to anything because the blood group O does not have any antigen. So that means blood transfusion can happen. Now let's take a recipient with AB blood group and a donor with blood group A. Here we find that transfusion will happen. This because a recipient with blood group AB has no antibodies. So there will be no antibodies that will correspond to the A antigen in the donor with blood group A. So there will be a successful transfusion. Again, let's take the donor with blood group B and a recipient with blood group AB. Here again, the transfusion is going to be successful since there is no antibody in the recipient with AB blood group system that will correspond to the B antigen with the B antigen of the donor. So here again we find that there will be a successful blood transfusion. So a patient with blood group AB, a recipient with blood group AB, and a donor with blood group AB, here again we find there will be a successful transfusion. This is because there's no antibody in the recipient's blood group that will correspond to the AB antigen in the donor with blood group AB. So there again, there will be a successful transfusion. Coming to a recipient with blood group AB and a donor with blood group O, we find that again it will be a successful transfusion. This because the recipient with AB has no antibody. And again, if we come to the donor with blood group O has no antigen, so there will be nothing will correspond here. So there will be no antigen and no antibody. Here there will be a successful transfusion of blood. So let's come to a recipient with blood group O and a donor with blood group A. Here we find there will be no blood transfusion. This because why will there not be a transfusion? This because the recipient with blood group O has AB antibody, while the donor with blood group A has A antigen. The A antibody in the O blood group will correspond to the A antigen in the donor with blood group A. So there will be no blood transfusion. So let's take again a donor with blood group B and a recipient with blood group O. Here again there will be no blood transfusion. Reason as to why I say this is because the recipient with blood group O has B antibody that will correspond to the antigen B in the donor with blood group B. So there again there will be no blood transfusion. So a patient with a recipient of blood group O with a donor of blood group AB. Here again there will be no transfusion. There will be no successful transfusion. Reason as to why I say this, recipient with blood group O has the A and B antibody that will correspond to the A and B antigen in the AB blood group of the donor. Here again there will be no successful transfusion. So let's take a recipient with blood group O and a donor with blood group O. Here there will be a successful transfusion of blood. The reason as to why I say that is because the antibody AB will not correspond to any antigen, because blood group O does not have any antigen on it. So there will be a successful transfusion. So here we find that in AB we find that the recipient with blood group AB, he or she can receive blood from any blood group. So we find that the AB is a universal recipient, and we also find that blood group O, the donor blood group O, can give blood to any blood group, can transfuse blood to any blood group. So here we find that the donor with blood group O is a universal donor. Those are the basics that you should know about the ABO blood group system. That's the end of my video for today. If you found it to be helpful, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so that anytime I upload my video, you catch up with me.